Hi, I'm Katie Ziskind. I own Wisdom Within Counseling and Coaching. We have a physical office in Niantic, Connecticut in the USA, and we also offer video sessions all around the world and country. You can learn more about how we help families rekindle after estrangements, cutoffs, and complex traumas, and build meaningful connection at wisdomwithinct.com. That's wisdomwithinct.com. In this video, we're going to talk about how to reconnect and rekindle a relationship with someone who has cut you off or is considered an estranged relative, loved one, sibling, or parent. So you might be on the opposite end of a cutoff, and it is so painful. You have positive memories with this loved one, you care about them, and you might even be confused and you're wondering, why did they cut me off? Why am I considered an outcast now? Why are they blaming me for all of the painful things they've been through? So you might be really confused, and therapy can help you process those big, intense emotions. The first step in healing from an estrangement or reconnecting with an estranged family member is processing the grief and mourning. You might need to mourn the relationship you thought you would have. When you gave birth to your child or adopted your child, you might have thought about walking them down the aisle on their wedding day or being there at their wedding day, and now you're not invited to their wedding. So that can be really, really painful. That's just one example, but there is a huge amount of grief, sadness, tearfulness, loss, and mourning that needs to happen in order to heal. And all of the sad emotions you are experiencing are totally normal. It's normal to lie in bed at night and miss your loved one that you love so much because they don't want to have you in their life anymore. And it's okay to miss them. It's okay to miss someone that doesn't miss you back. And for all you know, they could be missing you back, but they're not communicating that to you. And so comprehending and grieving from this significant loss is an important first step. Family estrangements can even be more significant than a death, because when we have a family member die, there is a community mourning process. We all go to the funeral. We all get together and have a celebration of life. And every culture, custom, and nationality does something different when it comes to a death. Some celebrations can be days long. However, though, with a family estrangement, there is no public closure. You might feel like you're the only one grieving the loss of the relationship you thought you would have and expected to have at this point in your life with your sibling, spouse, grandparent, adult child, aunt or uncle. And it can be very sad, and it's important to mourn that loss of what you thought you were going to have in terms of the relationship with your estranged family member. So part of mourning can be writing down good memories. You can write down all the things you love to do together. Maybe you were, let's say you're a parent and your adult child has cut you off. You might have loved being there the day your grandchild was born, but now you've lost not only the relationship with your adult child, but also with your grandchildren in this cutoff. So write down the good memories you've had, not only with your adult child, but also with those grandchildren that you used to have in your life. And so writing down the good memories you've had, can be very healing. If your sibling has cut you off, maybe you have great memories of running together through a field of flowers as a child, being 5 or 7 years old and waiting at the bus stop together, or braiding their hair or, taking a bath together as a very young child. And now your sibling will not speak to you, will not return your calls, and even mails letters unopened back to you that you've sent them, and that can be really painful. So part of healing is writing down the good times you've had together, and that these can also be memories that one day you might share with them, if you both choose to come to family, reconnection counseling. And also, too, it's important to take into account how long the estrangement has been occurring for. So some family members may have just recently cut you off. So maybe 5 months ago, and it's been a pretty short cutoff. It's not as, still very painful, but it may not be decades long. Other family members, siblings, may not have spoken for decades. You and your sibling may not have talked, for the last 30 years. And so we're really looking at taking this a little bit slower when it comes to counseling and coaching for family estrangement. So look at how long the estrangement has been occurring. And sometimes within family estrangements, there are moments of time where people will come together. Let's say a weekend, where they finally do talk, and then it's back to not talking anymore. So there could be moments where you've had a relationship start to evolve, and then something else has occurred that caused them to go back into kind of a reclusive, withdrawn state. Now, another step to healing and rekindling connection after family estrangement is understanding trauma. So trauma is a experience that we all go through in life, but we all have different types of reactions to trauma. So trauma could be feeling bullied, experiencing sexual trauma, emotional trauma, physical abuse, emotional neglect. We also have, under the umbrella of trauma as like yelling, name calling, criticism, high conflict fighting, breaking property. Trauma can be very, very intense. Cheating, betrayal, affairs, infidelity can all be traumatic. Even going through something like a natural disaster, a hurricane, a flood can be traumatic. And when we look at a family estrangement, there is typically a traumatic experience that has caused your loved one to no longer want a relationship with you. So thinking about journaling about the trauma that they could have been through, maybe it was a way that you reacted or made a mistake, or, therapy can also help you understand maybe the events that were outside of your control that really affected them. Sometimes when a parent remarries, that person that they remarry can be traumatizing and abusive to a child, and then that adult child may grow up and cut off a parent once they gain clarity on like how they were treated in their childhood. Siblings may choose to cut each other off because of a sexual abuse incident that occurred between a parent and a child, or between an aunt or uncle and a child. And so, or even, if one sibling was sexually abusive towards another sibling, the sibling that was sexually abused may cut off the other sibling, right? So we're really looking at understanding trauma, and healing from trauma that's unresolved can be so powerful in supporting families and reconnecting. Because a lot of times we cut someone off because we don't know how to deal with the emotions that that person is causing for us. So your loved one might be feeling a high level of anxiety or fear around you and not know what to do. So they feel like cutting you out and, estranging themselves from you is their only option. They may also not know how to communicate their needs with you. So counseling can help them more clearly articulate the boundaries and healthy, kind of lines they need to set in terms of a relationship with you, rather than just jumping right to a cutoff. So counseling can help families better understand what healthy boundaries can support emotional safety in rekindling an estrangement. Now, if you are an estranged family member, there are some don'ts. So don't reach out when you are in a time of high emotion. If you've been crying, having a panic attack, angry, do not reach out to the loved one that has cut you out, because this can cause them to pull further away. A loved one who is cutting you out is probably already feeling overwhelmed with the intensity of emotion in the relationship. So going to them saying that, you're so upset that they cut you out, how could they do this, making fun of them or calling them names, is really just not productive. And also too, don't reach out and try to tell them they need to have a relationship with you. They're exerting their freedom, independence, and willpower, saying they don't want a relationship. So don't try to reach out and let them know it's all the family members expect them to talk to you by a certain date, or don't tell them that, by this upcoming family event, they have to have talked to you by then. We don't want to create obligation or expectation. We want to create healing, and we also want to create emotional safety. So, if you are reaching out to a loved one, doing so from a place of understanding their trauma experience will be really effective. And estrangements can be super painful for all other people involved. So like if one parent has been cut out, the spouse to that parent may still have a relationship with, an adult child, with a cousin, with an aunt, with a grandparent. And so it can be really challenging for spouses who are going through these various emotions and experiences differently. if you've been cut out of someone's life that you love, you may be really jealous that other family members, cousins, loved ones, children, all these other people get to still have a relationship with your loved one that has separated themselves from you. So know that jealousy is a really normal feeling in sibling estrangement. They might not be talking to you, but they might be talking to someone that's very close to you, and you're wondering why that's the case. In addition, it's okay to miss the person that you love. It's okay to have these feelings of sadness and grief. And as well, anger is a very normal part of estrangement. You might be angry you've been cut off, or angry that, this is the way it is going and it feels outside of your control. And underneath anger is often a feeling of helplessness and not knowing what to do next, and grappling with some really, really intense emotions of frustration. So counseling and coaching can really help you process what you're experiencing, gain a sense of clarity, better communicate, if and when your estranged family member does want a relationship with you. And by learning how to communicate in healthy ways, you might even be able to apologize, take responsibility, and take accountability for any instances that you have caused hurt to them. And that is actually a sign. Being able to apologize is a sign of a really healthy relationship. And that can allow them to see that there is positive change being made. As well, counseling can help you process these unresolved traumas. So whether you're coming to counseling individually by yourself to gain clarity, or you're coming to counseling with your estranged family member as kind of a mediation and reconnection session, counseling can be so helpful, because a lot of times when an estranged family member and their loved one try to reconnect, it's a rupture again, it's an argument again, it's so many emotions are present that you really need the help of a professional. You need someone who's outside your family, who isn't related to either of you, who is completely a professional in a family estrangement, an outsider, and like, it doesn't really help to have another family member there, because they're kind of biased and taking sides, and can even cause one person to feel like an outsider again. So working with a family estrangement specialist counseling practice, such as us at Wisdom Within Counseling, can really help families, spouses, siblings, adult children, grandchildren, grandparents start to form healthier relationships than they've ever had before. So this can be an opportunity to talk about those unresolved trauma experiences, how much pain you did go through decades into the past, and what healthy boundaries look like to foster emotional safety. And when things start to not feel so good, what would a safety plan look like? And so we would love to help you at Wisdom Within Counseling. We work a lot with families who've been through estrangements and cutoffs, and families who've been through complex trauma and estrangements as a result of those trauma experiences. Counseling and coaching can help you better express your emotions and learn how to validate and understand the family member who has cut you out, and understand what their life experience was like. And there may be stories that you have no idea even happened to them that can be a part of counseling and coaching. And so families overall can gain a sense of connection and meaningful connection. So it's almost like you guys are creating new meaning together by doing this. And it's in the safety and the presence of a therapist. So if you're looking for family estrangement counseling, our team, myself and the team at Wisdom Within Counseling, love talking about complex trauma and helping families restore cutoffs and truly dealing with the emotions underneath those cutoffs. Because usually it's unresolved trauma, anxiety, grief, loss, jealousy, anger, and processing those and talking about those can actually make your relationship healthier than it has ever been before. So we offer traditional talk counseling, but we also offer art, yoga, mindfulness meditation, mind-body therapies, music therapy, and even outdoor walk and talk therapy in nature, because we believe that the mind and body are connected. And all of these holistic therapies offer you creative thinking outlets and self-regulation tools and relaxation strategies and anxiety strategies, so you can better communicate all of the things you're trying to say. So you can book your free phone consultation for family estrangement counseling at wisdomwithinct.com. That's wisdomwithinct.com. I'm Katie Ziskind, the owner of Wisdom Within Counseling and Coaching, and we would love to help you rekindle a connection with your loved one who's cut you off.